Drew McIntyre destroys Cody Rhodes backstage. YouTube script. Enough is enough. Drew McIntyre just committed assault on live television, and I'm supposed to sit here and analyze it like it's just another wrestling angle. The Scottish Warrior didn't just attack Cody Rhodes backstage, he destroyed the WWE champion in what might be the most cowardly act we've seen on SmackDown all year. Drew talks about honor, about being a warrior, about respecting the business, and then he jumps Cody from behind like a punk who's too scared to challenge him face to face. This is either the beginning of the most personal feud in WWE or it's Drew McIntyre proving he was never the hero we thought he was. What happened backstage wasn't wrestling, it was a mugging, and I'm about to break down exactly why this attack has me questioning everything I thought I knew about Drew McIntyre. Before we go second by second through this backstage attack, answer this: is attacking someone backstage ever acceptable in wrestling, or should it automatically make you a coward? Choose your side in the comments now. SmackDown just delivered a segment that has the entire wrestling community split down the middle. Drew McIntyre ambushed Cody Rhodes in the backstage area and unleashed an assault so vicious that WWE officials had to physically pull him off the champion. This wasn't a worked shoot, this wasn't theatrical performance art, this was Drew channeling legitimate rage into destroying Cody. Let's establish exactly what went down because the details matter. Cody Rhodes was apparently in a backstage corridor, possibly after an interview segment or on his way to the ring, when Drew McIntyre appeared out of nowhere. No warning, no challenge issued beforehand, just sudden violence. Drew hit a Claymore kick that sent Cody crashing through equipment. Then he didn't stop. He picked Cody up and drove him into walls. He used whatever was nearby as weapons. Production crates, steel chairs, anything Drew could grab became a tool for destruction. The camera work made it feel real in a way that's rare for backstage segments. Shaky footage, WWE officials scrambling to stop Drew, other wrestlers running in to see what was happening. This wasn't a carefully choreographed sequence, this felt like genuine chaos. Cody was left laying, possibly injured, definitely shaken. The American Nightmare who finished his story, who overcame Roman Reigns, who represents hope and resilience, was reduced to a victim of a backstage ambush. That's a powerful image that changes the entire dynamic between these two. Drew finally backed off when enough people arrived to make him stop, but the look on his face said everything. No remorse, no regret, just cold satisfaction that he'd accomplished what he set out to do. That's the face of someone who meant to hurt Cody. Have you ever been blindsided by someone you thought you could trust? How did you react? Share your story. Now let's talk about the hypocrisy of Drew McIntyre because this is what has me absolutely furious. Drew has spent years building his character as an honorable warrior. He talks about respect. He talks about fighting like a man. He presents himself as someone with integrity. And then he attacks Cody from behind. He doesn't challenge him to a match. He doesn't call him out face to face. He waits until Cody is vulnerable and defenseless, and then he strikes. That's not warrior behavior, that's coward behavior. If Drew genuinely believes he deserves a championship opportunity, if he thinks he's better than Cody, then challenge him. Earn your shot through legitimate means. Don't ambush the champion in a parking lot like you're scared of what would happen in an actual match. This attack makes Drew look weak despite the physical dominance he displayed. Because the subtext is that Drew doesn't believe he can beat Cody in a sanctioned match, so he has to resort to sneak attacks. That's the psychology fans pick up on whether WWE intends it or not. Drew will probably justify this by claiming Cody disrespected him somehow, or that he was tired of waiting for opportunities, or some other rationalization. But no justification makes a backstage ambush honorable. There's no code of warrior conduct that includes jumping people from behind. The disconnect between how Drew sees himself and how he actually behaves is massive. He's either delusional about his own character, or he's deliberately abandoned his principles. Either way, it makes him a hypocrite. Can you think of any justification that would make Drew's attack acceptable? Try to defend it in the comments. Here's what's driving people insane: this is the third time in recent weeks we've had a major backstage attack on SmackDown. Bronson Reed got attacked. Cody gets attacked again. At what point does WWE security actually do their job? SmackDown's backstage area is apparently the most dangerous workplace in America. You've got wrestlers getting ambushed left and right with no protection. Where are the security guards? Where are the cameras that should make attacks impossible? Where's the basic workplace safety? Nick Aldis is the SmackDown general manager. It's his responsibility to maintain order and protect his roster. But every week, people are getting jumped backstage with apparently no consequences. That makes Aldis look either incompetent or complicit. Drew should be arrested. This isn't wrestling, this is workplace violence. In any other job, if someone attacked a coworker this brutally, the police would be involved. But in WWE, apparently, you can just assault people with no legal ramifications. The lack of realistic consequences undermines the seriousness WWE wants us to feel. They want us to be shocked by the attack, but then they don't follow through with appropriate responses. That creates cognitive dissonance that breaks immersion. WWE needs to address this systematically. Show increased security. Show management implementing new safety protocols. Show there are costs to attacking people backstage. Otherwise, every heel is going to keep doing it because there's no downside. What should be the real-world consequences for Drew attacking Cody? Arrest? Firing? Lawsuit? Be specific. Let's discuss what this means for Cody Rhodes and his championship reign, because being destroyed backstage is more than just physical damage, it's psychological warfare. Cody has been an excellent champion. He's had great matches, compelling storylines, meaningful title defenses. He's represented WWE with class and dignity. But this Drew attack puts his entire reign at risk. If Cody is legitimately injured from the attack, he might have to take time off. That could mean vacating the championship, which would be devastating for fans invested in his journey. The man who finally finished his story would have his story interrupted by violence. Even if Cody can physically continue, the mental impact of being ambushed has to affect him. Does he become paranoid? Does he start looking over his shoulder constantly? Does the trauma change who he is as champion and as a person? This creates an opportunity for character development though. How Cody responds defines him. Does he seek immediate revenge, showing he's just as willing to cross lines? Or does he take the high road and demand a sanctioned match, proving he's better than Drew? The optics matter too. Cody getting ambushed makes him sympathetic, which is good for a babyface champion. Fans will rally behind him wanting to see him get revenge. That emotional investment is exactly what makes feuds compelling. But WWE has to be careful not to make Cody look weak. Getting ambushed once creates sympathy. Getting ambushed repeatedly makes you look like you can't protect yourself. Cody needs to show strength in his response. If you were Cody Rhodes, would you want revenge immediately or would you handle it through proper channels? Strategy time. Now let's talk about Drew McIntyre's actual in-ring credentials, because here's the uncomfortable truth. Drew has a legitimate case for deserving a championship opportunity even without the attack. Drew is a former WWE champion. He's main event WrestleMania. He's proven he can carry the company. His work rate is excellent, his promos are compelling, his look is impressive. On merit alone, Drew should be in the title picture. But Drew's championship reign happened during the Covet era with no fans. He never got that WrestleMania moment with a roaring crowd. He never got the full championship experience. That has to eat at him watching Cody get everything Drew wanted. So maybe this attack comes from a place of legitimate frustration. Drew has earned his spot, but he's been overlooked. Cody came back and immediately got pushed to the top. Drew's been grinding for years and keeps getting passed over. That creates understandable resentment. From Drew's perspective, maybe the attack is justified. Maybe he's tired of playing by rules that don't reward him. Maybe he's watched enough good guys fail while aggressive heels succeed. Maybe this is Drew doing what he feels he has to do to get what he's earned. That doesn't make the attack right, but it makes it understandable. Complex motivations create better characters than simple "he's evil because he's evil" villains. If WWE gives Drew compelling reasons for his actions, fans can appreciate the character even while condemning the behavior. The best heels are the ones who think they're right. Drew believing his attack was justified makes him a more interesting antagonist than if he's just being violent for violence's sake. Do you think Drew McIntyre has been unfairly overlooked by WWE? Or has he gotten appropriate opportunities? Make your case. Here's a controversial take that's going to make some of you angry. Maybe Cody Rhodes is getting exactly what he deserves for being a complacent champion who hasn't faced real adversity. Think about Cody's reign so far. Has he been tested? Has he faced overwhelming odds? Or has he had a relatively smooth run with predictable defenses against lower-tier opponents? Great champions are defined by overcoming adversity. Drew attacking Cody creates that adversity. Now Cody has a dangerous rival who's willing to cross any line. Now Cody has to prove he's not just a feel-good story but a tough champion who can survive genuine threats. The best championship reigns in history all involved the champion being hunted, attacked, and pushed to their limits. Stone Cold vs. Mr. McMahon. The Rock vs. Corporate Ministry. Daniel Bryan vs. The Authority. Champions are most interesting when they're fighting against overwhelming forces. Maybe Cody's reign was getting stale and needed this injection of violence and intensity. Maybe fans were starting to lose interest because everything was too safe and predictable. Drew's attack makes Cody's reign matter again. Wrestling fans love comeback stories. We love seeing someone get knocked down and claw their way back up. Cody being destroyed backstage sets up an incredible potential comeback if WWE executes it properly. But the risk is making Cody look like a victim instead of a champion. There's a fine line between sympathetic underdog and weak target. Cody's response has to demonstrate strength even in vulnerability. Does adding violence and danger make championship reigns better, or does it just make everyone look bad? Defend your position. Here's what WWE absolutely must do to make this angle work and justify the brutal attack we witnessed. First, establish clear consequences for Drew. He should be fined heavily, suspended from TV, banned from buildings. Make his punishment severe enough that it feels like WWE has rules and standards. Second, show Cody's injury and recovery. Don't have him just show up next week fine. Sell the damage with medical updates, rehabilitation footage, visible injuries. Make the attack feel real. Third, build Drew's justification. Let him cut promos explaining his mindset. Make his motivations understandable even if his methods are wrong. Complex villains are better than one-dimensional heels. Fourth, create a payoff match that's appropriate for this level of violence. Street fight, steel cage, Hell in a Cell, something that allows Cody to get proper revenge. The match type should reflect the feud's intensity. Fifth, show the impact on other wrestlers. How does the locker room react? How does management respond? How do Cody's allies get involved? This should affect the entire SmackDown landscape. Sixth, make the eventual match deliver. After all this build-up, the payoff has to be excellent. Both men need to look strong. The story needs to be told properly in the ring. What match stipulation would be perfect for Cody versus Drew after this attack? Be creative and explain why. Let me give you my prediction for where this storyline goes from here. I think Cody will be injured and off TV for 2 to 3 weeks to sell the attack's severity. During this time, Drew will claim he exposed Cody as weak and demand the championship be given to him. I think Nick Aldis will suspend Drew, which only makes Drew more angry. Drew will violate the suspension, showing up anyway and creating more chaos. His defiance will force WWE to take more extreme measures. I think when Cody returns, he comes back changed, more aggressive, more willing to fight dirty, determined to make Drew pay. The attack awakens something darker in the American Nightmare. I think there will be multiple physical confrontations before the big match. Each one escalates. Maybe Cody ambushes Drew. Maybe they brawl through the crowd. Each segment builds anticipation for the ultimate showdown. I think the match happens at a premium live event in a brutal stipulation. The match is violent, competitive, and memorable. Both men are elevated even though only one can win. I think Cody ultimately wins but barely, proving he's tougher than Drew thought. Drew remains a top-level heel who can move into other feuds. Both benefit from this rivalry. How close do you think my predictions are? What would you do differently? Give me your fantasy booking. Here's my final take on Drew McIntyre destroying Cody Rhodes backstage on SmackDown. This was shocking television that created immediate buzz and got everyone talking. Whether you loved it or hated it, you can't deny the impact. Those are the kinds of moments wrestling needs to cut through modern media noise. Drew McIntyre needed a clear direction after floating around the card. Committing fully to being a villain who attacks people from behind gives him purpose and heat. Sometimes the best characters are the ones you love to hate. Cody Rhodes gets a defining feud for his championship reign. This is the rival who truly tests him. This is the storyline that adds real stakes and danger to his run as champion. But WWE cannot drop the ball on execution. They've created a compelling situation, now they need to follow through with consistent storytelling, appropriate consequences, and a satisfying conclusion. The wrestling world is divided on this angle, which means it's working. When everyone agrees, that's boring. When people are passionately debating both sides, that's engagement. Now I need your complete thoughts on everything. On a scale of 1 to 10, how shocking was Drew's attack? Is Drew's ambush justified or is he just a coward? Should there be consequences beyond just a future match? Who do you want to win, Cody or Drew? Explain why. What was your immediate emotional reaction to the attack? Does backstage violence make wrestling better or worse? Is this the feud of the year or just another angle? Smash that like button if this attack has you hyped for this feud. Subscribe to Wrestling Newsletter because we're covering every development in this war. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss updates. Share this video with everyone because this attack is the most controversial thing happening in WWE right now. Drew McIntyre just declared war on Cody Rhodes in the most brutal way possible. The next few weeks of SmackDown are going to be unmissable. Let's see how Cody responds and whether Drew can finish what he started. This feud is just beginning, and it's going to be intense.